path and by two humans who had nearly died doing it. Everyone knew all this, but Andrew Roark knew it better than most, for those two humans, Ben Roark and Katie Doyle, had given birth to him 4 years later. Afterward, the Confederated Nations of Earth had placed its Space Navy Academy here, using Lokaran nanotechnology to sculpt the rim wall into terraces and buildings in an architectural style incorporating all of mankind's major traditions, looking out over the crater's floor of congealed magma. Those who studied here could never for a moment forget their service's reason for existence, which could be distilled into 2 words: never again. "You can go in, Captain," said the secretary, interrupting his thoughts. "Thanks." He proceeded through the door to her left and into a short corridor. He had long since ceased to notice the slight tingle as he stepped through the invisible curtain of stationary Guardian nanobots. The security wasn't excessive, for the director was a far more important individual than the commandants of the service academies of the last century had been. In the CNEN, his authority extended to a wide range of advanced training functions in many locales, including the hyper-prestigious Strategic College, through which the elite of the Navy's leadership must pass. Andrew came to the final door, which slid open as it sensed his genetic signature. The director's private office was a spacious one, understatedly elegant, the walls hung with honors. A shelf to the right bore models of ships he had commanded, including CNS Revenge, his appropriately named flagship at Upsilon Lupus. To the left was a holo-display tank that would have done credit to a capital ship's bridge. Behind the expansive desk, a wide transparency gave an unequaled view of the crater, including the pylon that rose at its exact center, inscribed with the names of those, worthy and otherwise, who had died in the Cheyenne Mountain strike. Andrew Roark had seen the office 1,000 times. Its familiarity explained why a detectable fraction of a second passed before that which was behind the desk registered on his brain, despite the stench of death that immediately hit his nostrils. Admiral Arnstein still had a pistol clenched in his hand, a standard M3 Gauss weapon, Andrew automatically noted. It used an electromagnetic pulse, not energetic enough to have set off the alarm system, to accelerate a high-density 3mm bullet to a muzzle velocity of 2,000 meters per second with a crack as it broke the sound barrier, not loud enough to have penetrated the soundproofing of the multiple doors. It had a full automatic capability, but it appeared only one shot had been fired. Roark now saw the hole, with a radiating pattern of cracks where it had struck the right-hand wall. Unlike the needle-like metal slivers fired by civilian Gauss weapons, such a projectile at such a velocity resulted in massive hydrostatic overpressure as it passed through a human head, causing the brain to explode outward, blowing out the top of the skull. Admiral Arnstein was slumped face down on the desk, and Roark was looking directly into such a cavity. There was blood and fallen brain tissue everywhere around the body. Some of it had stuck to the ceiling. Modern medicine, drawing on Lokaran technology, could perform what would have been thought miracles of tissue and organ regeneration only half a century before. But nothing could be done about a destroyed brain. The Admiral could, of course, be cloned, but the clone would not be the man under whom Andrew had served at Upsilon Lupus. It would be another man with identical genetic makeup, doomed to early aging and death as a result of having been produced from post-embryonic cells taken from an adult body. Such use of cloning was interdicted by both law and custom. All this flashed through Andrew's mind in a second before the onset of nausea brought him out of shock. He sternly clamped his jaw shut and said no to his stomach. Then he raised his left arm and spoke into his wrist communicator in a voice whose steadiness surprised him. "This is Captain Roark. Security to the director's office." Then he stumbled forward, reminding himself not to touch anything. The scene must be left scrupulously undisturbed for the investigators. He walked gingerly around the desk, looking for a suicide note. There was none. But a little plastic case of the kind used to hold data chips caught his eye. He looked more closely at it. It was marked with a tiny black symbol, and for the second time since entering the office he froze into immobility. There could be no mistake. It was a silhouette of a dog, or, more likely, a wolf. For a few seconds he thought very hard. He heard a commotion outside. He reached a decision. He scooped up the case, put it in his pocket barely in time, then smoothed out his features and turned to face the security detail. Chapter 2.